Hello dear students, I am Dr. Sanjita Das, working as professor and head of the Department of Pharmacology at Noida Institute of Engineering and Technology, Greater Noida. So, as a pharmacist, all of we aware of the present status of the pharmacy practice. As a clinical pharmacist or as a pharmacist, we all should know about the dosing pattern, right. So, as I think you have experience about the different dosing patterns, right, and you know that one dose may be sufficient, but most of the times doctors give, the physicians give the like dosing in the morning you have to take one, and in the that is after lunch and before going to that is sleep, that is after dinner, right. So, why these 3 doses and how it has been decided? So, it all these things are coming under dosing pattern, right. So, let us know deeply about this dosing pattern, right. So, before going to all these things, let us first know what is dosing regimen, right. So, the dosing regimen is defined as the manner in which the drug is taken, right. So, as I told you, for some drugs like analgesics, right, single dose is efficient for optimal therapeutic effect. So, like for example, you are suffering from headache and you have taken some analgesic XYZ, some analgesic, and you get rid of that headache. So, it is that single dose is efficient for optimal therapeutic effect. However, the duration of most illnesses are longer than therapeutic effect produced by a single dose, right. So, for that, in these cases, what will be the condition? The drugs are required to be taken on the repeated basis over a period of time depending upon the nature of illness, right. What is the type of illness? We have to take medicines repeatedly. So, an optimal multiple dosage regimen is the one in which the drug is administered in suitable doses with sufficient frequency that ensures maintenance of plasma concentration within the therapeutic window for entire duration of therapy. That is the main purpose of drug to be taken after these 4 hours or after 3 hours or 6 hours, like. So, an optimum multiple dosage regimen is the one in which the drug is administered in suitable doses with sufficient frequency that ensures maintenance of plasma concentration within the therapeutic window for entire duration of therapy. Okay. So, for successful therapy, if we need the successful therapy, the design of an optimal multiple doses regimen is very much essential, because we know that once the drug will be administered, then first what will happen? It will enter into the, if it is oral dose, then it will be, and if it is tablet, then disintegrate, then dissolution will be there, then absorption will be there, then it will be distributed, then it may be metabolized or it will go to the directly to the site of action and it will give the site of action. After that, it will be released and it will be metabolized or it will be excreted out by different excretion routes, right. So, during a whole this process, it is to give its the purpose of administration, that is relief of pain or relief of that discomfort. So, for that it has to reach the therapeutic range. I think you all know the area under the curve, and it will reach the appropriate concentration to give its pharmacological effect, right. And so, it will again drop. because it will be excreted out, it will be released from the target, right. So, it will drop, the concentration will drop. So, at that point of time we have to administer the next dose to again get the appropriate concentration, so that the therapeutic range will be sustained, right, or the therapeutic window should be sustained. As I told in one of my lecture that what is therapeutic window. So, it is between the concentration, plasma concentration between the what, the therapeutic effect and the toxic effect, right. So, the multiple dose regimen, what is it? It is defined as the manner in which the drug is administered in suitable dosage by suitable route with sufficient frequency that ensures maintenance of plasma concentration within therapeutic window for entire period of therapy, right. So, that is the multiple dose regimen. So, what is multiple doses regimen? It is defined as the manner, in which the drug is administered in suitable doses, right, by suitable route with sufficient frequency that ensures maintenance of plasma concentration within the therapeutic window for entire period of therapy, right. So, in designing dosage regimen, the two major parameters that can be adjusted in developing a dosage regimen are, first is the dose size and next point is the dosing frequency. So, dose size is the quantity of the drug to be administered, whether 50 mg, 500 mg or whether one that is 1 tablespoon of syrup or 2 tablespoon of syrup, what is the quantity, right. So, that has to be decided under dose size. Then next is the dosing frequency, the time interval between the doses, what I am saying you, right. So, these two things are important. Okay. Then individualization of dosing pattern or the dosing regimen. Let us know what is individualization of this dosing pattern and dosing regimen. It is the most accurate approach and is based on the pharmacokinetics of the drug in the individual patient. What is the patient's that is response to that medication, how it is responding, how to the mainly not about the pharmacodynamics, not about the efficacy, it is about the pharmacokinetics, right, how it is accepting the drug and how it is getting the plasma concentration is reaching, right. So, the approach is suitable for hospitalized patients, right. We cannot follow the OPD patient because they will go to their home, we cannot take care, we cannot look into how it is responding, what is the plasma level, right. So, it is only possible for hospitalized patients, but is quite expensive because we have to go through the plasma concentration of that particular drug at different time intervals. So, the same dose of drug may produce large differences in pharmacologic response in different individuals. So, this is called the inter-subject variability, right. This is called the inter-subject variability. So, in other words, how can we elaborate it? It means that the dose required to produce that certain particular response varies from individual to individual. So, this is the inter-subject variability, it varies from individual to individual. So, the main objective of at optimizing the individualization is aimed at the dosage regimen, right. So, an inadequate, if it is inadequate therapeutic response calls for a higher dose, whereas the drug related toxicity calls the reduction in dose. It is very much usual thing. If it is therapeutic effect, we are not approaching the therapeutic effect, it will be the requirement of higher doses. If it is going towards the unsafe, that means toxicity, then it is to reduce the dosage, right. So, thus in order to aid individualization, a drug must be made available in dosage forms of different dose strengths. So, you may say that the number of dose strengths in which a drug should be made available depends upon two major factors. So, what are those major factors? That is the therapeutic index of the drug, right, and the degree of inter-subject variability. So, as we have discussed these two things which has to be considered for dosing regimen or dosing pattern, right. So, one is the therapeutic index of the drug, right, and the next one is the degree of inter-subject variability. So, smaller the therapeutic index, the greater the variability, right, more the number of dose strength will be required. If the therapeutic index is very small, then there will be much more individual variation. So, we will go for the dose strength, it requires more number of dose strength, right. So, another thing we should know that is how it is important, what are the advantages of this individualization of dosing pattern. Individualization of dosing regimen help in development of dosage regimen which is specific for that particular patient. So, what is the purpose? That is for the benefit of the patient and better treatment, right, and it leads to decrease in toxicity and side effects and increase in the pharmacological drug efficacy. It is another aspect, that is it leads to decrease in toxicity and side effects and increase in the pharmacological drug efficacy. And it also leads to decrease in allergic responses. Okay? Any allergic reactions will be decreased because we are going towards individualization of dosage pattern of the patient for the drug if any. The patient compliance gets increased. It is very much important advantage that the patient compliance gets increased, the efficacy of the medication will be much more that is beneficial or effective, right. So, where are the sources of variability? One is the pharmacokinetic variability, next is the pharmacodynamic variability and the disease condition. If it is pharmacokinetic variability, how it is that is playing role? Due to difference in the drug concentration at the site of action because of individual differences in drug absorption, distribution, metabolism and excretion, it is there, and major causes are mainly genetic, because due to the genetic makeup the enzymes are there, the metabolization is differing and the disease, right, it is also one important aspect, and age, body weight and drug interactions, right. Then pharmacodynamic variability, which is attributed to differences in effect produced by a given drug concentration, and the disease condition, it affects the dose pattern of the patient like in renal, hepatic disease, we will discuss all these. Okay. So, how the disease condition there is gives the variability in the individual drug pattern. Steps of dosing pattern, based on the assumptions that all patients require the same plasma concentration range of mainly for therapeutic effectiveness. I have elaborated some steps. Okay. The steps involved in the individualization of dosage regimen are: first is estimation of pharmacokinetic parameters in individual patients and to evaluate the degree of variability, right. And the next step is, what will be the next step? That is attributing the variability to some measurable characteristics such as hepatic or renal disease, age, weight, etc. Then the third step is designing the new dosage regimen from the collected data. Whatever data we have collected, from that we will finalize what should be the dosage regimen, right. So, the designing of new dosage regimen involves adjustment of dosage or adjustment of dosing interval or the adjustment of both dosage and dosing interval. Okay. So, what we are going to design, that is in a new dosage regimen. We are designing what? One is the dosage on which it will that is it is based on, right. So, one is the dosage and another one is the dosing interval, and next may be both, that is adjusting both dosage and dosing interval, right. So, the dosing of drugs in obese patient. Now, we are coming towards the special cases. Dosing of drugs in obese patient. What should be the things we have to take care? The apparent volume of distribution is greatly affected by changes in the body weight, since the latter is directly related to the volume of various body fluids, isn't it? If one person is obese, the body fluid, there is mainly volume of body fluid will be different. The ideal body weight for men and women can be calculated from the formula, that is the individual body weight, if it is men, equal to 50 kg plus or minus 1 kg divided by 2.5 centimeter above or below 150 centimeter in weight, and this IBW in case of women, how it will be expressed? 45 kg plus or minus 1 kg per 2.5 centimeter above or below 150 centimeter in height, right. So, any person whose body weight is more than 25% above the individual body weight is considered obese. So, we will go for special consideration, and if it is neonat or infants and children, I think you all know that their dosage regimen is different. Neonates, infants and children require different doses that of adult, because of different in body surface area, difference in body total body weight, there is the factors like effective factors are there, like there is per kg how much they are, there is body weight is there, on the all these bases it is different. So, dose for such patient are calculated on the basis of their body surface area, not on the body weight basis. So, the surface area is such in such patients like infants and children are calculated by Mosteller's equation, that is surface area in meter square is equal to height into weight divided by 60. Infants and children require larger mg per kg doses than adult. Why? Because the thing is that their body surface area per kg body weight is larger, and in comparison, right, it is larger, and hence larger volume of distribution and total body weight, total body water content and this fluid content will be more, right. And another thing, their metabolic that is development is less, and another thing is that the child's maintenance dose can be calculated for the adult dose. From the adult dose we can calculate by following one formula, that is child's maintenance dose equal to the surface area of child's in meter square into adult dose divided by 1.73. So, 1.73 is the surface area in meter square of an average 70 kg adult, and since the surface area of child is in proportion to the body weight, according to the following equation, that is surface area in meter square equal to body weight in kg. So, we can follow the dose, maintenance dose will be, the child dose will be weight of child in kg into the adult dose divided by 70, right. So, dosing of drugs in case of elderly, and in case of elderly again it is different, because their metabolic in infants it is less, in adults it will go up, and in it will maintain and it will be going down in case of elderly, and in case of elderly they are suffering from multi diseases, and there will be multi drugs also, multi medicines, so many medicines they have to take. Drug dose should be reduced in elderly patients because of general decline in the body function with age. The lean body mass decreases and the body fat increases by almost 100% in the elderly persons as compared to the adults. So, the volume of distribution of water soluble drugs may decrease and that of lipid soluble drugs like diazepam increase with age, right. So, the age related changes in renal and hepatic functions will be also associated with elderly. So, it will greatly alter the clearance of the drug. So, the patient dose will be less and it will be equal to weight in kg whole into the 140 minus age in years into adult dose whole divided by 1660. So, in case of hepatic diseases, the diseases a major effect on metabolism. I think you know hepatic, the liver is the major gland for there is metabolization of different drugs. So, disease is a major source of variation in the drug response. Both pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamics of many drugs are altered by the disease condition other than one which is being treated. So, the influence of hepatic disorder on drug availability and disposition is unpredictable because of the multiple effects that liver disease produces, like effects on drug metabolizing enzymes or effect binding and hepatic and on hepatic blood flow, right. So, the other ways of metabolization are available, therefore, the drug dosage should be reduced in patients with hepatic dysfunction, since clearance is reduced and availability is increased in such situations. But in case of renal failure, if there is any renal disorder, again the elimination of the drug gets impaired or there will be alteration. So, the drug in patients with renal impairment have altered pharmacokinetic property. Their pharmacokinetic profile of that particular drug will be altered. So, their renal clearance and elimination rate are reduced, the elimination half life is increased and the apparent volume of distribution gets altered, right. So, since dose must be altered depending upon the renal function of the patient. So, to calculate the dose in case of renal failure, the regimen may be adjusted by the reduction of the dose or increase of the dosing interval or combination of the both, right. The next is optimization of dosage regimen. So, incorporating the patient's characteristics in the process of initiating a drug dosage regimen is an important step towards optimization of drug therapy, but it does not guarantee, right, it does not guarantee the success of the therapy. Okay. So, we still need to evaluate the outcome of the treatment and we will find in some cases that the therapeutic objects has not been achieved, we will find. So, traditionally the management of drug therapy has been accomplished by monitoring the incidence and intensity of both desired therapeutic effects and undesired therapeutic effects. So, I have given some examples like antiarrhythmic quinidine, which is used for the treatment of ventricular arrhythmia, how it is important and what is the dosage regimen. Okay. So, here it is 3 to 8 microgram per ml, it is quinidine is considered therapeutically, and non-specific assay method are used, and in case of there is a frequency of gastrointestinal disturbances, the dose will be increased 5 microgram per ml level of above 5 microgram ml, and that is in case of cardiovascular disturbances, the concentration exceeding 8 microgram per ml, how the dosage regimen gets affected. And next I have given another example, that is lidocaine, and which is one intravenous antiarrhythmic agent, and for the short term management of ventricular arrhythmia. In some patients, the clearance of lidocaine decrease with continuous infusion, the dosage reduction may be required during the therapy. And another case is there, that is co-administration of cimetidine or propranolol. If these two are administered that is concurrently, which decreases the mainly liver blood flow, right. So, inhibit the hepatic metabolization and may also require the dosage reduction of lidocaine, right. So, next thing about lidocaine, the plasma level of lidocaine less than 1.5 microgram per ml are usually ineffective, right. So, the usual therapy lidocaine concentration range, that is 1.5 to 4.0 microgram per ml, but levels up to 8 microgram per ml may be needed in the conditions. Okay. So, in case of, I have given one example of antibiotic, that is aminoglycoside antibiotic. The aminoglycoside antibiotics are effective in the treatment of pneumonia, urinary tract infection, the soft tissues, burn wound and other systematic infections, these are used. I think you all know all amino that is glycosides are ototoxic and nephrotoxic and have a relative low therapeutic index. So, the major elimination route of aminoglycosides is renal excretion, largely by the glomerular filtration. The half life of this gentamicin and there is tobramycin, which are the example of these aminoglycoside antibiotics. In patients, it is found to be functions are variable, in average about 2.5 hours. And one example, that is anticonvulsant, which is most common example is phenytoin, and no drug has a greater need for therapeutic drug concentration monitoring and individualized dosing than phenytoin. Phenytoin that is therapeutic monitoring is highly required, and its there is management of the dose pattern is also essential. So, the optimum phenytoin efficacy is achieved in most patients with serum concentration in the range of 10 to 20 microgram per ml. It has been observed, right. Then concentration related CNS toxicity, phenytoin generally observed at serum concentration above 20 microgram per ml. In case of children, metabolize the phenytoin more rapidly. So, it is required to be changed. Then phenobarbital, it is again it has been observed that the dosage of this it is 50 to 120 hours in adults, it is mainly that is half life range, and from that is 40 to 70 in case of children, and usually given in adults once a day bedtime, but in case of children twice a day. Okay. So, with all these examples, I want to give you one brief that how the dosage regimen is important depending on the condition of the patient. It may be disease condition, it may be age, it may be the other type of that is drug therapy, right. So, the dosage regimen is very much essential to reach the efficient treatment of that particular disorder. So, you should go through this all these things, and it will be beneficial for your future. Thank you so much, students.